Yes, my boy Ka. Bienvenido. Welcome, What Hub. I am here outside taking in this beautiful day, man. Such a beautiful day. It's so beautiful. I'm here hanging out with the pine trees. Yeah. Already heading up to the store. Just want to quickly come on here and do a little something. I've been taking it easy. Like I said, I've been trying to stay away from the Wi-Fi radiation and stuff like that. But you can't help it. It's all around us, right? It's just, we're bombarded by it. So forget about it. You're not going to be able to stop it. It's the fourth industrial revolution. So yeah, our bodies got to get used to it, stuff like that. But there are certain remedies that we can take, to help with this radiation that's around it. And my body's very sensitive. I've been getting a lot of headaches. But you see where I'm at. Peace, Bond Dog. All right, mi hermano. But what should I call you, Devontae? Should I call you Floyd? Just kidding. It's Bond Dog today. But anyway, I just wanted to damn, man. Now that Bond Dog is on here, man. Damn, man. This Sonetta just doesn't learn. And you know what it is? It's not really Sonetta. It's not Sonetta. It is Nepal. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? But Sonetta always did that, so you really can't even blame it on her. You know what I'm saying? But Rahul Bat. I thank you, man. I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you very much. Yeah, I'm here to share. I'm here to share with y'all. That's what I do. Okay. But anyway, just wanted to mention something. Hola. That these antisocial personalities, man, are all over the damn internet. You know what I'm saying? Me right now, when I turn on my laptop, my computer or my desktop, I try to as much as stay away from a lot of those now in these days, from a lot of those podcasts, because again, the antisocial, personality characteristics, that's just, they're exposing themselves, really exposing themselves. One thing that antisocial person always says, oh, everybody knows. They say, everybody knows that. Don't go. Everybody knows. They say, don't go in that store. Or they say this about this man. Yeah, negative behavior. So they say, oh, everybody knows that. This and this and that. Don't you know? That's antisocial. Who's everybody? You mean you? That's your opinion. That's you. So it's very sickening. Very sickening. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, I did a whole thing on Facebook. You got to check it out. And I'm not going to do it here because I'm not going to stay that long. I did it about the doing shadow work. No, let me go through it for a little bit because it's very important. The idea of doing shadow work. Well, the shadow work, when you deal with shadow work, you're dealing with light casts a shadow, right? And we deal with the energy center. So there's sub-energy center, but we're going to start from the Earth magnetic field, that energy center. That Earth magnetic field, the Earth magnetic field deals with genetic blueprints, right? And ancestral patterns, right? It deals with your DNA. That's the Earth, right? The light, and that's the light. It casts a shadow of doubting your identity, a doubt. When you don't know, for instance, wow, pollen. When you don't know anything about your genetics, either through oral tradition, family traditions, the mama said this about grandma and on, or you sit with your great grandma and you learn this, you learn that. If you don't know that and you don't do any DNA, you have a doubt. You're not, when it comes to your DNA, there's a doubt there in terms of knowing your ancestral, light, your genetic blueprint, anything like that, right? So that's when that comes in. So to do the shadow work, again, you're looking at what doubts you have about your genetics, what doubts you have about your family history, whatever, and then work with that. That's dealing with that shadow self, right? With that shadow. When it comes to the root energy, assalamu alaikum, Zay. Assalamu alaikum. Beautiful weather, yes. And listen, I got that hat. I got that hat. Well, anyway, salams and blessings. So when it comes to the root energy, and that's your survival mechanism, right? You want to survive, right? Everybody wants to survive, but it casts a shadow of fear. You know what I'm saying? When fear hits you, what happened? It looks like you want to shit on yourself. That's a root energy center. And bam! You know what I'm saying? That can happen. But fear can also, to do the shadow work, you got to face your fears, right? And you got to say to yourself, well, if I have a fear of this and the fear of going homeless or fear of this and that, I have to now do the necessary right steps in order to become safe and sound and secure my survival. You know what I'm saying? That's doing shadow work. Then when you deal up with the sacral, you deal with pleasure, right? And that casts the shadow of guilt. So to do shadow work, you got to look at your guilt and say, man, why do I feel guilty? I feel guilty. This pleasure makes me feel this amount of guilt. Then I have to limit the amount of pleasure. You say pleasure is offset by pain, which is all. Thank you very much. Pleasure is offset by pain and guilt. So you want to make sure that you limit the right amount of pleasure in order to limit the amount of guilt, right? That's doing shadow work. When you go up to the solar plexus, it's a willpower, right? There's some people that got a will. When we're younger, we have a more stronger will, right? We have a willpower. It casts the shadow of shame. Some of us been shamed, or some of us carry a shame because we didn't accomplish what our will, those feelings and those emotions that we had as a child, we did not accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So we feel this type of shame. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do the shadow work. You got to do the shadow work. You got to face those shames, right? Then when you go up to the heart, it's the love of having, the abundance of things. When you lose that, it casts the shadow of grief. You got to look at your griefs. And you got to see, what is it that caused these griefs, or something that I lost? How can I attain that again? Or how can I work with that? You know what I'm saying? My abundance. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have this grief. When you deal up with the throat energy center, the communication, which is your communication around you, how you communicate, is dealing with the shadow self of lies. So it's truth casting the shadow of lies, right? So you want to look at the lies, or the fragments. But lie forces are fragments, right? And then those fragments, if you put the pieces perfectly together, then you arrive at a truth, right? You want to do the shadow work on that. Then, of course, when you get up to the first eye, or it's going to call the third eye, the first eye, you're dealing now with reality and illusion. So we got to look at illusion. A lot of us have been eluded by certain illusions. We wanted to become certain things because we were eluded by television, movies, fame, artists, music art. We've been eluded by those illusions. But so you have to find the truth about yourself, right? You got to speak about the truth about yourself. And you got to find the truth about yourself, right? For me, before I knew about any artist, anything, I always had the affinity, always had the want to play percussion and music. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't become a musician because I revere Stevie Wonder, but I discovered him later on. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference. Again, so you have to look at the shadow work, your reality, the illusions, and deal with your reality, who you really are, right? Then when you deal with the crown, you're dealing with cosmic connection, connecting with the multiverse, right? The shadow that casts is ego attachment. So to do shadow work, you got to look at your ego. And when you look at your ego, you got to figure out, man, I got to work with my ego, man. I got to go to the cliff, look at the mountain. I got to stare into that empty ocean. There's something out there bigger than me. I got to look at the multi. There's something much more bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? So that's dealing with ego attachment. Then when you deal all the way to the star energy center, which is connecting to the source of it all, which is natural nature, which is all the suns, the stars, right? Our suns are stars, stars are suns, and the multiple stars. They create the conditions on Earth, on nature that we have, the stars and the sun, right? When you connect to the source, but it creates doctrine and dogma. You see? So you got to look at your doctrine that you're being eluded by, or looking into the doctrine and dogma and learning how to move more to connecting to the source. You know what I'm saying? We no longer, in the Sabians, we no longer into doctrine. We have a doctrine, because it was to lead you back to the source. But Mispatia, right? On the Wapata, it's no doctrine. It's a way of life. Because a way of life, like Islam, is not a doctrine, it's a way of life. Christianity to some people is not a doctrine, it's a way of life. So you have way of life. You know what I'm saying? And then those that study those way of life, they create the shadow self, which is the doctrine. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at that. You know what I'm saying? And you got to know the balance. And that's doing shadow work. It's to go through these shadow selves, right? And so when antisocial characteristic lean more to the shadow, they work the shadows. It's what they call people that work the shadows or work the those angles, those shadows. You know what I'm saying? Because they amplify that, they postulate it, they perpetuate that. You know what I'm saying? That's being antisocial characteristic. And you see this a lot. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are exposed by what they say. You know what I'm saying? Mofongo. That's a food, papi. That's food. Mofongo. Yeah. Mofongo is a food. Saludo, Big Lou. Big Lou, what's up? Yeah. Well, that to deter a little bit, yeah, mofongo is a food. You know what I'm saying? It's actually a African-orientated food. You know, you see it also in Haiti. You see it also, you know, it's taking the plátanos, you know what I'm saying, and making this mofongo. It's excellent. I like the ones with shrimp. I don't do beef, or I don't do pork. So I like the mofongo, but I like shrimp. Anyway, getting back to the discussion, what happened on Sarnetta about this comparing Dr. York, and it's not, and by no means, I'm not defending Dr. York. There's no need to defend him. I am not what they call propagating to you about him or anything like that. By all means, I'm not doing any of that. My relationship that I had was a personal relationship in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, with the man, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And the doctrine that I listen, that are reference to me. So, bro, this guy's coming over here with this freaking machine. God damn it. It's gonna get a little noisy, but I'm gonna continue on. But the point that I'm trying to make, yo paso. 1 second. Let me think. Yes, you need to go up there. They're blowing things away. And then let me come over here. So anyway, back to the conversation. So by no means, but I'm looking at it from a teaching. What's up, Queen? So I'm looking at it from a teaching perspective, a sharing perspective, right? Now, you ask yourself, Paul Light, young Pharaoh, and now is Nature Boy, 3 God, right? Right? How are they like Dr. York? First of all, if you go into the narrative, Dr. York was accused of little boy, little girl, whatever you want to believe, whatever, right? But I don't see that, except for Paul Light, I think he's got a case with a young girl, right? But young Pharaoh, I don't see that in his case in it, right? Now, were they ever personal students of Dr. York? Did they hang out like I did, play basketball with him, learn directly from him? No. They read the doctrine. Can you fault the Nuwapian Sabians when people read the doctrine and run with it? Can you fault? You have no control over that, right? So how can that be Dr. York's fault? Huh? Because he educated us on the art of deceptions, and he told us about the occults. He told us all about the religions. He told us many books that he wrote. Now, except for Paul Light, he wrote, I say 90 books, right? So there he tried to be like Dr. York. But has he ever set a community like Dr. York? He tried to. He can't fit those shoes. The man had community. We built a school. Me personally helped build a hall of knowledge, a school, an institution where teachers from the Middle East were sent to that school to teach. My teacher was from Senegal, Salam and Sisi. You know what I'm saying? and teachers, and we had classes. It was a university. We had a music department, a full-fledged studio that the board was brought. That I met Kenny Gamble, and Dr. York brought the board for Kenny Gamble that had a lot of Teddy Pendergrass music on that board. You know what I'm saying? How's that any of them did anything like that? Okay? I personally know of stuff that we done, right? Excuse me. So how are any of these guys, but check this out, I'm gonna switch this around. Three God, when have you ever saw a video or heard any account of Dr. York degrading women? If anything, he picked up the women. If anything, he revered and picked up the women. And some of the books, you see that. You know what I'm saying? And he said it's the women that should be teaching, not the men. You know what I'm saying? Those are gods. You know what I'm saying? That's where Paul Light get that from, and he stole it from. You know what I'm saying? When have you seen this? When have you seen Dr. York take little boys or young brothers, like I was 17 years? When have we ever sat down to his feet and played with his toes? It's ridiculous. We never done nothing like that. So how can you say that this person is like that person when you really look at it? Huh? So you gotta look, think, right? So why would they say that? But again, because of the doctrine. You know what I'm saying? But whose fault is that? Now, when was the first time Paul Light appeared on the internet? And Young Pharaoh and Nature Boy, Three God, on Sonetta Studios, Sonetta's couch. So in reality, they want to be like Sonetta. They want the views of Sonetta, right? They want the they're clout chasing. They want the notoriety of Sonetta. They're trying to be, these are Sonetta wannabes, but they're trying to push it up as they Dr. York wannabes. No, they wannabes. Like who? They want that clout. So they would postulate, come up with, or they would steal doctrine from whoever out there to them to get the views. That's what it's all about. That's what Three God was saying that. That was all about for him. He lost a lot of his accounts. But he was trying to pick up his account. So how is that being like Dr. York? Dr. York never did anything like he said. It appears like that if you want to be deceived by that. But he never did any of that. Take it from somebody who personally was around this man. Never saw any of that. And they always say, oh, well, maybe because this came later on when you were gone. I was never gone. Even I was on the outside, I was still in contact with brothers. And I never heard of anything like that. Never. So stop saying that. It's calling me. I'm in there. Anyway, hold on.